Words cannot describe how excited I was after seeing this episode, and then not just seeing the battle, but the explanation of how everything went down after the battle. Hunter's the Hunter, episode 32, a surprising win. What, a win? Oh, wow. Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and intricately woven, so well depicted and explained tale of Hunter x Hunter 2011. The last episode, of course, focused mainly on this fight between Hisoka and Kastro, this rematch from 2 years ago. And it ended with Kastro really kind of having the upper hand, having cut off, it looks like, Hisoka's right arm from just below the elbow. And it appears that his technique of Nen that he has, being able to clone himself or use a body double, doppelganger, whatever you want to call it, seems to have gotten the upper hand on Hisoka. But, oh boy. So that's where the episode left off, right? And that's where this one picks up. And man, was it great. The whole first half of the episode is the actual fight and the fight finishing up and everything. And then the second half, they go back and they describe to you almost in like a flashback told from Hisoka's lips, you know, and this other character that what happened and how it happened. It is just, man, next level. Absolutely next level. The way these things are described and depicted, and the animation is so beautiful. Honestly, you have to love this Madhouse. They do excellent work. I mean, everything. The colors are so crisp and sharp, and the lines, so it just looks beautiful. It flows wonderfully. Anyway, the battle between Kastro and Hisoka, again, remember, Kastro looks like he's got the upper hand, and Hisoka goes and takes his arm, and, you know, he's spinning it on his hand, and he sticks it under his hand and everything else. And this Kastro goes and tells him that, you know, he's going to cut off his other arm, he's going to use the true tiger bite fist move that he's got, you know. And before he does that, Hisoka's like, I want to show you a magic trick. And he goes and he pulls out a bunch of cards and throws, first he takes a scarf, and he puts the scarf over his pulled off limb, right? His his severed limb, I guess I was going to say decapitated, but that's head. Severed limb. Tosses it up in the air. It disappears. The scarf winds up falling to the ground, and so do a bunch of playing cards. 13 cards, right? Numbered 1 to 13, he says, you know. And then he goes and he does this thing. This is actually cool. It's an old math trick that I had learned where you think of a number, any number between, you know, 1 and whatever, 13. And you don't tell the number, but, you know, you add, you multiply, you subtract, you divide. And what happens, then you subtract your original number, and the number you get is, and you always know what the answer is no matter what the person chooses. And it's a simple mathematical problem, but the way that you do it is that you throw people off by making them think that it's some kind of, you know, like mind trick that you're doing to them. And really all it is it's a math trick, it's a math problem. And again, it's something that I don't want to take the time to explain here, but it's very cool because it's through using multiplication, addition, subtraction, and division. And then, of course, subtracting is part of that, but subtracting your original number at the end, you wind up with the number that the person who's telling you the trick wants you to have, you know. So and it's always the same number. It's always the number that they, you know, that they want you to have again. So it's very cool how it's set up, but nonetheless, though, so what this all was a distraction, you know. But anyway, while he does this, then he goes and he takes one of the playing cards and goes and actually pulls it out of the stump. He says your number is 1, and it's an ace. It's an ace of spades that he pulls out of the stump of his right arm. He shows it to him, and then he goes, here, you can keep that as a souvenir, and he throws it at him. And it's cool how everything's happened. I'll just explain how everything happens real quick. And he throws it at him, and then Kastro goes and gets pissed off. He feels if it's an insult, and he comes at him, and he slices off Hisoka's other arm, right? And Hisoka's got his other arm gets you know, cut off or what have you. And while this whole thing is going on, then all of a sudden Hisoka goes and he's like, and he pulls his right arm out, and it looks like it's reattached, you know? And I'm like, son of a bitch. And then he goes and he's like taunting the guy, and he's like, yeah, you know, what you don't realize is that I've already won, and that when you do lose, you're gonna lose in this. I predict you're going to lose in this, and you're gonna be kind of jumping around in like this dance, you know, trying to dodge things. And as he does this, and the guy goes to come at him and double again, Hisoka immediately turns and looks at the double. And we find out that this is all part of his plan. When he threw the card at him that had blood on it from his stump, blood got on the real person, the real Kastro. You take so much concentration trying to make an exact copy and duplicate of yourself that it's perfect, but it's almost too perfect. It doesn't have the flaws of battle. It wouldn't have maybe a ripped piece of clothing or blood spatter. So that's how he's able to tell. And this dude's like, whoa, and he's all surprised. Hisoka goes and hits him right square in the chin, and the dude's dazed, right? Anybody who's ever been in any type of fight or watched boxing or anything like that, man, you get somebody right square on the chin, it usually either puts him down or puts him into just a kind of equilibrium messed up type of state, right? Same thing if you hit him in the ears. If you get somebody in the ear real good, the temple, you know, throws off that equilibrium and that balance. Nonetheless, though, he's like, so you won't be able to dodge my next attack. And then he goes, and it's a series of the cards wind up coming at him and hitting him in the legs and the arms and the back, and he just, boom, he's done. The guy's done, dead, defeated, whatever, right? I don't know if he was defeated or if he killed him or what, but he's got all these cards sticking out of him. So anyway, Hisoka goes and leaves. He walks down the tunnel and what have you as he's leaving the arena, and he runs into this mysterious, kind of cute chick, you know. And she's going to go and apparently go back to his room with him, and she has the ability with her nen to be able to actually sew his arms back on. The blood vessels, the bone, everything she's able to reattach. And she does it in this very cool way, man, where it's really neat how she concentrates on all these little like strings and stuff come out, and just attaches them, right? But then the cool part of the episode is not that. It's him going back and explaining, you know how I did what I did, right? And she's like, oh, yeah. And between the two of them, they wind up going back and forth explaining what he did. And what he wound up using was obviously his nen, his aura, right? To be able to, and his zetsu, to be able to go and disguise some of these presences and stuff. And it was all smoke and mirrors. When he does this thing called bungee gum that he has, that he can actually... go and he takes the scarf, and it looks like these tendrils that come from it, and he actually can go and heal up his wounds, or appear that he heals up his wounds. And when he uses the combination of the bungee gum, and then the other thing was texture surprise is what it was called, and then he's actually able to go and like retexture his arms and what have you, right? And even though it's all kind of a nen used smoke and mirrors type of trick, it explains how he reattached his arm during the battle. And and honestly, it'd be a 20-minute video if I explained everything. If you saw it, you probably had your jaw dropped as well. But the bottom line is that it was cool because when there was an invisible aura attached to everything. So when he went and threw the scarf up with the arm went up and like attached to the ceiling, and then an invisible string of his aura or whatever attached then down to the stump of his right arm, and then down to the scarf that was actually on the floor, right? And that was all just like a distraction while he threw the cards up. When the cards hit the floor in his left hand, there was also 13 aura strings going to each card, right? So what he wound up actually doing is then through all these distractions and everything else, and then pulling out that other card and then going and throwing it at him. When he did that and then pointed at him, he actually was able to attach these aura strings to him. So they're almost like homing beacons, homing missiles, right? And then when everything happened and there was the whole distraction and whatnot, and the guy going to come at him, and he did all this stuff with the trickery, he was able to then go, when the guy went and cut off his other arm, he was, when Hisoka Kastro cut off his other arm, he was able to go and take and use that time to go and use his bungee gum and his texture thingy to go and reattach his right arm, or at least appear that he did, which kind of threw off his opponent and wound up getting him to slightly drop his guard. And the whole thing was basically like a mental manipulation mindfuck. It was really cool. That coupled with what he was playing off as magic, but was really just clever use of his nen. So this nen stuff, man, it's hardcore, and like I said, it's otherworldly as far as I'm concerned. But how he depicted and beat this guy and this whole fight, and how he was able to do it. And then keep in mind that then when the guy went to come at him and double himself and everything else, you knew how he was able to find out which was the right one. But he was able to disguise that zetsu with zetsu, that aura strings that he had. So basically, when he was able, once he hit him on the chin, all he had to do was complete the whole trap. Is what it was. Like a trap is absolutely like what it was. A big convoluted mouse trap. And then all the cards were just, and he wasn't able to dodge any of them because he was woozy. And man, I mean, just how it was portrayed and played out. So anyway, the cool thing, and what I thought was that made my jaw drop as well a little bit in this, is that after the chick goes to leave, she talks about how you got to be in York News City. The boss wants you to be in York News City on August 30th at so-and-so, not at your leisure, not when you feel like it. Obviously, a little bit ahead of date from the September 1st when he had told Kurapika to meet them there. And and then we go, and she alludes to and says, like, the boss, so he works for the Phantom Troop. And then you're like, holy shit, Hisoka's a Phantom Troop guy? Okay, I get it. And she goes and mentions about how it seems like he doesn't fear anything. He thinks he's the best. He's calm and cool and collected with everything. And they go and they wind up showing him at the end of it. They show a brief thing between Gon and Killua where Killua explains that it was actually a really cool fight and he has no idea how Hisoka won, you know? So that's kind of for another story. But this was really, these last couple episodes were like the front and center focus on Hisoka and his abilities and how otherworldly, next level, just awesome this guy can be. You know, he's a little creepy with his laugh. But at the end of the episode, man, you see him in the shower. He gets out to shower, you know. It's the last thing I want to see is Hisoka showering, but whatever. His pasty ass gets out the shower, and he's got a big old Phantom Troop spider on his back with a 4 in it, right? He looks in the mirror and he's like, oh, forgot that. And he pulls this thing off. It's a freaking decal or a sticker. So the dude's not even a Phantom Troop member. He's just posing as one, maybe so he can get more information. Maybe it's fun because he can pick off targets from them. Maybe because some of the jobs they take are things that would interest him. I don't know. This dude goes to Heaven's Arena just for the hell of it to fight when he feels like fighting. When he wants to forfeit a match, fuck it, he forfeits it. Hisoka is the man, dude. Even though he's a little creepy, he walks his own path, and I like that. I got to respect that about him. So an awesome episode, and I cannot wait for the next one. And obviously, it's starting to build up towards the shit that's going to go down in York New City between, you know, I'm assuming Gon and Killua and Leorio and Kurapika and you know, and obviously hoping that he gets some revenge on the Phantom Troop. But I have no idea what to expect at this point, so it's hard to even predict. My episode question for you, though, brothers and sisters, is honestly, man, what were your thoughts on the fight between between Katsu and Hisoka, and how everything was explained afterwards? I liked how the fight happened and everything ended, and you didn't really know how. Like, it appeared you knew how. You thought you knew, but you didn't know. Because then when they went back and they told her, nobody could have predicted or expected the way he went in and explained how he did all that shit. I was just like, wow, this guy is just like a mastermind of awesome, you know? Let me know, though, what your thoughts are, brothers and sisters, in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We look forward to catching all of you in the next one, Nation.
The Nerd Nation thanks you for your patronage and encourages you to follow Jim on the Twitter and the Facebook, the Instagram, and even his other channel.